Welcome, everyone. Welcome this afternoon, and thank you for being here. Um, by way of very brief introduction, I'm the editor-in-chief of Condé Nast Traveler Middle East, and my name is Ria Saran. A few months ago, Condé Nast Traveler Middle East and the Shaloop Group began working on a white paper which lays out the growth of the luxury travel and tourism industry and how that intersects with luxury retail in the GCC. Today, we're here to officially launch this white paper, which includes, in addition to market research and data, a lot of opinions from thought leaders on the subjects. And today, we have some of these thought leaders here with us, which is very exciting. Now, truly, none of them really needs introduction, but I'm going to do it anyway. On the far right, we have Mr. Gerald Lawless, former chairman of World Travel and Tourism Council and non-executive director of Dubai Expo 2020. After a 23-year career with 4-day hotels, where he began his career, Gerald Lawless joined Jumeirah in 1997 and helped establish it as one of the premier luxury hotel brands in the world. Taking on the challenge of launching Burj Al Arab, the world's most luxurious hotel, after the successful introduction of Jumeirah Beach Hotel to an eager traveling public, Mr. Lawless went on to become president and group chief executive officer of the Jumeirah Group. At the beginning of 2016, having served for 18 years at the helm of the Jumeirah Group, Mr. Lawless assumed a new leadership position responsible for tourism and hospitality in Dubai Holding, the group's parent company. During this period, he served as chairman of the World Travel and Tourism Council. Next, we have Mr. Issam Abdul Rahim Kazim, CEO of Dubai Corporation for Tourism and Commerce Marketing, which was established in December 2013 as an affiliate of Dubai Tourism. Having built and developed DCTCM's team from the ground up, as well as its network of over 20 international offices, Mr. Kazim leads all activities vis-a-vis the branding, promotion, and marketing of the Emirate of Dubai. And among Mr. Kazim's many accomplishments include launching the new and improved Dubai Tourism website, developing destination tools such as the Dubai Tourism app, and creating and rolling out a highly successful global marketing campaign in more than 30 countries. He's also played a pivotal role in facilitating content partnerships, high-profile broadcast productions, such as Amazon Prime's The Grand Tour, and collaborations with A-list celebrities like Shah Rukh Khan. Prior to joining Dubai Tourism, Mr. Kazim worked at Dubai World Trade Center. He has also had experience leading various teams at Nakheel, Dubai Bank, and Commercial Bank of Dubai. And finally, and importantly, we also have Mr. Patrick Shaloop, CEO of the Shaloop Group. Patrick Shaloop began his career in 1979 when he decided to become involved in the realization of his father's vision to build a bridge between the East and West and be the ambassador of luxury lifestyle in the region. In 1990, he created a regional distribution platform in the Jebel Ali Free Zone with Fendi, L'Oreal, Dior Parfums, and Puig. From 2000, he developed the retail network of the group from a few stores to over 600 stores with a workforce which increased from a few hundred to over 12,000 in the region and with local implementation in 14 countries. For nearly 30 years, Patrick has been fully involved in the strategic development of the business. As such, he continues to expand the group's distribution, retail business, marketing, and communications activities, and he's also eager to strengthen its support services and very engaged in the digital transformation. He's been instrumental in guiding the development of a sustainable strategy of the group with a focus on education, environmental, and humanitarian sustainability. Right. So now on to the business of this conversation. Let me start very, very briefly by touching on where we are in the luxury industry today. Bain & Company released their Fall-Winter 2018 Luxury Goods Worldwide Market Study, which tells us that the industry grew 5% in the last year to an estimated 1.2 trillion euro, with positive performances across most segments, of which luxury cars, hospitality, and goods are the majority. And the same study showed us that luxury experiences remain very attractive, with luxury hospitality up by 5%, gourmet food and fine dining by 6%, and luxury cruises by 7%. Which essentially brings us to this paper, which is that while experiences are very important, that's sort of where we're headed, both in terms of travel and hospitality and in terms of how we market luxury goods. So I'd like to start off by asking you all to perhaps tell us briefly who you think the new evolved luxury consumer, also the luxury traveler, is.
First of all, thank you for having me here. With my esteemed colleagues to my right and my left, who have a lot more experience on the luxury side of travel and of experiences as well. I think from our perspective, the travel trends are changing. I think when it comes to luxury, I mean, there's so many ways of actually expressing that from the services and from the goods that we actually provide. For us, from a destination perspective, we want to make sure that when people come to Dubai, there's a certain aspiration that they have. So we make sure that we're working with our partners very, very closely and learning and understanding from them who their clients are and who the client base are, and making sure that what the product has to offer connects extremely well with the experiences that these people are expecting as well. So it's about educating, learning from our partners, and also educating them from what we're seeing from our perspective. So when it comes to the traveler, I think in each one in their own way, shape, or form are looking for a form of luxury that they can relate to. Something that's attainable, an experience that they can relate to, an experience that for them might be a stretch to afford. But that's a luxury that we want to make sure in Dubai with our partners we're able to offer that as well.
I have a lot of mixed feelings about luxury retail, but mainly luxury travel and what defines the luxury traveler and who is the luxury traveler. And we hear so much these days about the millennials and what millennials want. And I think there's huge and massive concentration on that. And I'd like sometimes to make a call out for the, as I call it, the sixtennials, you know, those guys of us who are probably retired, who probably have a little bit of money, and most of all, have time and actually can travel. So I think that it really is important to concentrate the minds of the suppliers within the luxury retail, luxury hospitality, luxury travel on the broader market and how that market can actually be exploited to ensure that we continue to have it at all levels and not just in one particular segment, which is pretty aspirational for a lot of people, and it's certainly a lot different. Another thing I said to Patrick beforehand, in my career though, I've spent all my time in luxury hospitality. I think I'm better at selling luxury than doing luxury, but we can talk about that later on. But it is something that I can see will continue to grow as long as the world economy continues to expand. And we have seen such amazing development out of places like China. In the 1990s, it came after the fall of the Soviet Union when the Russians started coming in. And always there seems to be a new place, a new source market that suddenly evolves and helps us to promote luxury. I also believe very strongly in that, you know, a lot of people say that a person staying in, say, a budget hotel, oh, well, that's not my market if I have a five-star hotel. Well, you know what? Someday that person will be your market, and there will be the evolution of the individual that will always aspire towards having something that really defines luxury for them. And I'm sure we'll explore what luxury is later on as we talk.
Patrick.
Again, if we speak today of the luxury tourist, for me there has been a huge evolution throughout the years. A huge evolution for many reasons. One, a lot of people has more disposable income than they had, and for them, traveling around the world is part today of their top priorities. For two, I would say the offer has become so much rich. You have done so good job that today you have spoiled some of our visitors and tourists, and which means that we have a much more demanding visitor and tourist than before. But the most important, I would say, into the mindset today of this luxury tourist, it has been transformed from having a convenience, a place which is fantastic, a good service, to more and more experiences. To more and more, he wants to discover something which is different, which is unique, which he wants to have certain experiences which he would live. He wants to take care of himself, of his wellness. So today, the luxury tourist is really evolving towards a much more qualitative part of it, of the journey. And today, the luxury tourist wants an overall experience. And this is where our retail is linked much more with the hospitality, because we want this holistic view, and part what of this luxury tourist is looking for is really going shopping. It's part of his leisure.
So just a quick note before I ask the next question. I'm happy to keep this quite interactive. So at any point, if the panelists are saying something that you want to hear more about or build on or ask a question, please feel free to put your hand up and a mic will be brought to you. Um,
Yeah,
yes.
if you don't mind, I'll jump in.
Sure, please.
I would ask you then, Patrick, surely you are getting to a situation then where if everything is experiential, or so much is, yes, people will still stay in the luxury hotels, yes, they will go for experiences, but will they be really that keen to buy the luxury watch, for example? Will they want to buy the luxury consumer goods that you depend on
Thank you
so
for
much?
the question. So it's up to us and our duty as retailers today to give an experience, to give something which is unique, to give something which delight this customer. So we have our side of work. So if it's only to stock a product and to exhibit it, he will not come anymore to us, neither the tourists nor the local visitor.
Indeed.
So part of our activity is really how, exactly like into the hospitality we are doing, how are we going to delight our customer? How are we going to receive our guests, because it's becoming more and more and guests. So there is so much similarity between what we do.
I think I would like to add to that as well, and I think you raised a very good point, and you touched on a very good point there as well. When it comes to experiential, if it is about stocking commodity, then it's very different. You have a retail space for that, and people do go online for those kind of things. But what's the game changer? Because a lot of times the question, I'm sure, Patrick, you get these questions, they're like, yeah, but everyone's moving online now. Why would you need retail spaces? But retail is crucial because that's where people go to feel that experience of purchasing something. When they're buying something, they want to have that experience of interacting, of learning about that product. Those little nuances, those little changes still make a big difference. If I take it from a personal experience, yes, there's a lot that I would shop online, but I will not forego the experience of actually walking into retail space and having that experience myself or my friends and relatives as well.
And from our perspective, the online and the offline are very complementary to each other.
100%.
The online has helped us to become and will help us to become a much better retailers than ever. And we spoke about experience, but it's not the only thing. It's about the outstanding service.
Yes.
But the most important for me is not even the experience. It's the emotional connection which we could create. Thank you. We learned from you. I told you that.
No, I was. I think we said it in an interview that I had with you last week. You know, you do get a lot of pleasure out of having, say, are you using a nice watch? And to look at it, you get enjoyment out of it. And there is that emotional connection to a commodity. But what's so important, as you say, is the actual experience within the retail outlet.
Absolutely.
And how you buy, how you're looked after. Because service, say, within one of your stores is not that much difference when it comes to attitude training, as we would take our colleagues through in a company like Jumeirah or Forte that I've worked for before. How important it is that the junior people, the people that say maybe the lowest pay levels in many areas, are actually the people who interact with the customers all the time. And if you can get them motivated and then properly trained and then doing the right thing in terms of how they want to promote your product, I think you've really got a great situation.
So we've talked a little bit about how retail is part of an experience that perhaps is also part of the experience of experiencing a destination, and that's something that's quite important. So clearly there's some kind of synergy between marketing a destination and marketing, for instance, for retail or marketing for hotels. And I had quite an interesting conversation with Colin McLaughlin, who I'm sure you all know, where he said that, you know, of course, Dubai Duty Free essentially sells goods, correct? But at the same time, he said they're associated with things like the golf and the tennis and all of those things, and that in a way brings tourism to Dubai and raises the profile of Dubai. And so I was interested to hear from you where you see the intersection between these industries sort of helping each other. How important is marketing together across a larger thing important for all of your industries?
I think from a destination perspective, if we just go back, and obviously linking it back to one of our key propositions, which is the retail side. In fact, we have a department that looks after the festival and retail side of the business for Dubai. Dubai Shopping Festival was a key anchor on Dubai's calendar and continues to be that key anchor to attract people into Dubai to understand the retail experiences. And again, it's about celebrating retail within the spaces of Dubai. And that was built again with our key partners who have played a fundamental role and continuously play that fundamental role to make sure that that brand continues to evolve and continues to grow and become synonymous with the destination. And I think if we can continue to create that win-win opportunity with our partners from the retail and our partners from the hospitality. So it becomes a seamless ecosystem that brings people in regularly. In fact, they mark it on their calendar, knowing that Dubai, during this period of time, has so much to offer, from the experiences, from the dining, as well as the shopping, and all to do for family. It becomes something that the network can actually benefit from, and something that we can continuously keep on adding to and growing going forward as well.
Very much so. It's also interesting to see how Dubai has evolved over the last 20 years, particularly. First of all, Dubai becomes known as a place for great luxury retail shopping. Particularly, let's face it, a lot of it was based on price. Just because you want to buy a luxury item doesn't mean you're not motivated to buy it from a shop where you can pay less for it than in another shop if it's exactly the same product, for example. And Dubai had a very good reputation for pricing. Then it comes in that other areas are competitively priced with Dubai, so the attraction isn't necessarily the price. But I still think that Dubai, no city comes near Dubai in terms of retail choice and the options we have in all the various shopping malls. And add to that the huge variety of accommodation. You know, hotels from budget all the way through to Burj Al Arab, and what we see comes through there. You can really see that the destination continues to hold huge attraction for itself. But another area that we talked about before, when you talk about, say, luxury hospitality particularly rather than retail, is that I see very much the experience that Patrick talks about becomes a major issue. And I always like to think that coming on holiday, if we're providing a vacation for a tourist, they come, they enjoy the beach perhaps, if that's what they like to do. But we also have to give them a broader experience, an experience so that when they actually leave Dubai, they will feel a sense of enrichment. Yes. Something nice, something good has happened to their lives by going on holiday to Dubai. And a lovely example that I give is the Sheikh Mohammed Center for Cultural Understanding. And this started years ago, but I remember at one stage from the Jumeirah Beach Hotel, I actually joined a coachload of tourists going to the Jumeirah Mosque. And we all went to the Jumeirah Mosque and we sat on the carpets inside, and we had a lovely lecture from an imam who talked to us about not the differences between the religions, but the similarities between Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. And everybody came out of that feeling, wow, I'm really glad I didn't go to the beach this morning, and I just went to experience the culture, to experience what happens here, and to enlighten myself. Similarly, people like to go and have their wellness experience, which again is deserved pampering, and why not? And people should enjoy it.
Yeah, fabulous.
And to add on it, I would say it's also understanding what the visitors and the tourists who is coming in a part of the world are looking for. And it's true that when we analyze the type of tourists who are getting into Dubai, some of them, part of what they would do, I would say 6 days out of 7, some will be 1 day out of 7, and some will be not at all, is to go for shopping. I mean, you take a Middle Eastern customer.
Exactly.
I'm part of them, so I will. When I go to Paris or to London, I would love to go shopping. One of the reasons, I have time. If I come to my office, I have zero time. So it's not only the price, I have some time. 2, it's convenient because I can find a huge choice. Yeah. Yes, price is very important, but it's not the only part which is important. Yeah. When we speak about a Chinese tourist, an Indian tourist, it's also a Russian tourist. Shopping is really part of what he would be looking for, and it's part of the offering which we could give him. So of course you want fantastic hospitality offer, restaurant, rooms, but also he wants to have this opportunity and go and shop. And what, at least in Dubai, we could offer, which is fantastic, in such a very small space. I mean, look at some of the malls. They have everything which is available in a very small. Exactly. You go to any other place in the world, you would spend hours searching around, etc. So there is a lot of complementary to service the right customer whom we are looking for and what he is looking for.
I think you also touched on a point which kind of covers it. Retail therapy is real, and there are a lot of people who actually enjoy it quite a lot. And I think it's something we should can quickly focus on. And to your point, we've been
Sorry,
building on that.
if we could get...
Sorry.
Yeah.
We've been building on that success with our key partners. So we meet regularly, try to understand exactly the landscape, the tourists, where we're attracting the tourists from, which period of time. And then sitting with them to see what makes sense, where can we add more events, more festivities, more celebration around the retail experience to make sure that we can use that as the main hook to bring people into Dubai. They will come in for those retail experiences and enjoy everything else that Dubai has to offer. And Dubai is a family destination. So trust me, when it comes with a husband and wife and their kids, each one will have their own version of retail that they would want to enjoy and their own experience of luxury that they would want to enjoy within Dubai.
I love the retail therapy. So if you are happy or you are sad, come and shop.
Exactly.
And afterwards, we'll have a shop outside with Shalini.
Perfect. So you touched very briefly by mentioning the people who are coming here, and obviously these people matter, whether we're thinking about tourism, whether we're thinking about retail, about the kinds of visitors we're getting here. And Patrick, very briefly, you mentioned the Chinese tourists, and obviously I feel like this is a very big topic, and people are constantly talking about the Chinese visitors that we're starting to attract into this region. What are we doing here in order to cater to them, and in order to show this side, I mean, to encourage the luxury spending in this region from that particular demographic, which I believe everyone believes is important now to talk about?
It goes the same order.
Yeah. I think from a marketing perspective, and China is a prime example, the way that we've been approaching it is trying to analyze and understand the market's travel behaviors, their interests, and of course, what's the strongest proposition that Dubai has to offer that links back. And retail becomes another fundamental point that we need to focus on. So what we've done is, we've started to make sure that our campaigns are going across the right channels, understanding the landscape of the media in China, which is very unique, building stronger relationship and ties with those mediums, being able to create content that is very unique for the target audience over there, but then also not stopping there, but understanding even the payment gateways, things like Union Pay, that's unique to them, but makes them feel at home when it comes to payment. Things like Alipay, things like WeChat Pay. So all of these things, it's about making sure that they have access into Dubai, so that when the Chinese travelers come to Dubai, they have no reason why they shouldn't be spending in Dubai. So it's from marketing the campaigns, understanding the market, and going back again into the market and making sure the solutions are available, working again very closely with our partners from the hospitality and the retail industry so that it's all seamless.
Fantastic. No, and I think also it's really important to understand what Dubai has been very good at over the years is, well, it's not just reacting to demand from markets, but it's actually creating demand so that people actually want to come to a destination because they've heard about it. And that's something that, like the various, the tennis tournament when it started all those years ago, look at it today, look at all the events for the sporting events like the golf, so important. And as we said before, as you mentioned, the shopping festival. I even remember one year we all went down to the Mall of the Emirates to experience the 24-hour shopping. I thought, oh, that's great. And we went like 2 o'clock in the morning and we went around. But hey, it's, you know, Dubai tries things, it does things. And the great thing that I've always felt about travel and tourism to Dubai and everything associated with it has been the amazing public-private partnership
100%.
and the cooperation. Right through from the early days of the DTCM, we would always meet regularly as hoteliers, as tour operators, as car hire people, everything, and to talk about like what are the challenges of doing business in Dubai, what are the challenges to get business in here. And you know, so many years ago that His Highness Sheikh Mohammed decided to bring in a visa waiver for 32 countries. Nobody had heard of doing that before. Now they're thinking about, they're doing it now in different countries around the world. But actually, this country started nearly 20 years ago in terms of really making it easy to buy. I think that's what Dubai has been great about over the years.
So going back to the Chinese customer, for luxury goods, the Chinese customer is today about 30% of the luxury market globally. In 2025, over 40% of the luxury market would be for Chinese. Not Chinese buying in China, but a lot of them are more and more buying in China, but also Chinese traveling the world. This is how much important today Chinese is for the luxury. Now, when it comes to Dubai, I think that you have done a great job of bringing Chinese. So today, I think it's your fourth nationality in terms of visitors more than 800,000.
Yes.
Even Abu Dhabi, I was reading figures, has about 400,000 Chinese coming through Abu Dhabi. I think Emirates have done a great job in coordination. I think, and I have to recognize, we have done a very lousy job. We have done a very lousy job because we probably were led. I'm speaking for retail. I will let you speak for hospitality. I think that we were quite late to engage, to understand the Chinese phenomenon coming to Dubai, but better late than never. I think we were late to engage because we were too busy in a market which is expanding very quickly, focusing on our core customer, which are the GCC customer and the local customer, to engage with the Chinese customer. So today, they are not at all getting what they would really like to discover, and we have to make a huge effort in order to understand them. So of course, we need Chinese-speaking team members and sales attendants. Of course, we need the payment, which we have just now installed, which are adequate, which didn't exist into Dubai. Of course, we need to make sure that we visit it. But it's much more than that. It's how we edit the brands which we have. It's how we can promote our stores, not only Dubai as a destination, but our stores as a place to visit. Because a lot of time, the Chinese customer would plan his visit 6 months in advance. And guess what? He knows exactly where he's going to go. And not only through tour operators, because more and more they are coming by themselves. Of course, we need to have the price the most competitive possible because they have their glass house and they would look at the price before anything else. Of course, we need to get them the points which will differentiate ourselves than going to their other places. So I think that it is a huge opportunity for us in Dubai. So thanks for DTCM for bringing them to us. Thanks for Emirates Airlines. Now we have to give back and make sure that we engage with them so you can bring us much more Chinese.
One small area I would say that as a consumer always kind of concerns me if I'm traveling and I buy something overseas, especially if it's something of a luxury good. How do I ensure that I get the guarantee? How do I ensure that I will get the service back in my home country if I need the service for this? And I still think this is something that could be improved, particularly in terms of communication. It may exist in the minds of the retailer, but it's certainly, I think it's sometimes a little bit of a restriction in terms of people's buying decision, that they're not absolutely confident that they will be able to get the proper guarantee when they after. It doesn't even have to be a big luxury jewelry good. It could be a laptop or whatever you might buy in a duty free as you travel through.
But consistency in offering those kind of services, after sales services, consistency throughout the world is absolutely essential. And you touch a really strong point, including with our Chinese customer, even more with our Indian customers, who are very particular to say, am I sure to be able to then service it? Yeah. Have I to bring it here? It's because it's the only time I'm coming here, because I come and come back again. But it is consistent. But it's a very right point.
I think one of the overall themes that from all the various things we've said is that you have to know your customer. There's a whole degree of personalization in order to deliver what they need, which is obviously true in all of your fields. And I think increasingly luxury is about personalization. So what are sort of the most effective ways in which or tools you've been able to use in order to harness this, in order to deliver?
If I look at it from a tourism perspective, I think for us, we're working very closely with partners across the board. It's not just China, I mean, globally, when it comes to understanding exactly the buying behaviors, the patterns. And I think right now, obviously, with GDPR and stuff, it becomes more and more restrictive of how we can actually be able to target. However, within the means, we can at least be able to present the right information to the right audiences at the right time. And I think that's very, very important, because decision-making process nowadays is much, much faster than it used to be. Even when I look at it from our sector, certain nationalities would always book well in advance for any trip and any travel. You're seeing a lot more last-minute bookers now, and that trend is something that we need to be aware of. There might be a smallish percentage today, but it definitely has potential to keep growing, so we need to keep an eye on that. And with that in mind, we need to be available where they are. not expect them to come seeking us. So data-driven marketing, data-driven campaigns, and again, machine learning and being able to, again, adapt and learn and present to them the relevant information at the right time becomes key.
I think when you talk about personalization, especially the hotel business, you know, it's a very personal business. And it's something that, as I touched on earlier, it really comes through the most junior of your staff. If you have them motivated, if you have them enhanced with the skills that they need to be able to deliver the service at all levels. I mean, back in the day in Jumeirah, we used to have our hallmarks. And the first hallmark was that we would always smile and greet the guest before the guest would greet us. The next hallmark was that as a first response to a guest request, and you can still test them, we would never say no as a first response. And finally, we would treat everybody with respect and with integrity. And that was a promise from us all the way through the organization. We really did build the culture of communication, of personalization. I mean, I had one man who worked for us, Bashir, who was a doorman. And Bashir actually ended up having the most amount of complimentary letters. He used to get 12 handwritten letters a month from guests talking about the experience they had because of Bashir, the doorman. And when they arrived at the hotel, if Bashir wasn't there to meet them, that was a bit of a disappointment, but they would meet him at some stage. But the value of this man to our business was just phenomenal. What we did, we brought in a system called Colleagues of Exceptional Value. We decided that, well, maybe Bashir, with his qualification, might always be a doorman. But we've got to recognize that Bashir has something very special. Therefore, we jumped him up 2 grades. We allowed him to bring his family in. We gave him a salary above his grade. And we said, if you ever move on from this job, it goes back down to the grade it was when you started to do it. So we were just recognizing the fact that as people at junior level, and I know I keep saying this, but it is so important to get everybody motivated, to get everybody skilled to be able to deliver the kind of service that we all aspire to for our travelers, for our guests. And then you have personalization without even worrying about it.
And from retail perspective, location, location, location has been the motto for years and years and years, and it's still the motto. But today it's also data, data, and data. How are we going to get the right data? For 2 reasons. One, if we can collect the data globally, we could understand patterns which would help us to better answer to the offer and to the request and to the dreams about it. But if we could get the data in a much more precise way, we could then answer even more to the specific offer to each one of our guests. So today with the digital technology, and digital technology is not only about e-commerce, it's not only to book your hotel online or to buy your products online, it's also to be able to use the best of the technology in order to do better our services, in order to service more our customer in the hotel, in order to service better our customer even if he comes to our retail shop. So imagine this space where you enter, be it in a lobby of a hotel. I have a lot of similarity with it, or in a store. Before you enter, they know whom you are, but you have an advantage because they make the booking. At ours, they don't make the booking. So you know your customer, you know a little bit his pattern, you know eventually through social media what you could recommend him. You call him by his name, and then you have the right offer. And the huge database which you have has already helped you that you have those kind of type of customer, and this is what you're looking for. So I think in today's world, we really need to make sure that we can collect this data, have this data lake, but also this individual data, and then be able to personalize and give the right offer. But the data is to then get the personal attention, which we're speaking about. It is only to help this emotional connection, this Bashir getting it, because otherwise it's nonsense.
So right, and so much the motivation of the colleague, the staff member, to actually use the data he or she has. How often have you come to a hotel for the 3rd, 4th, 5th time? Is this your first time staying, sir? Well, hello, do you not have a guest history there? Oh, yeah, I didn't look at it. Sorry, yes, you were here before. This happens a lot,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
And this is the motivation side.
And then we come back to the Bashir.
Yes.
All right. If we're future casting a little bit, and sort of, I think the outlook is very positive for the way both travel and tourism and retail is going in this region. What are some of the growth opportunities that you see over the next few years? I mean, I think Expo 2020 is obviously an obvious one, but there must be others. And also, which I always think is interesting because I think you learn from these, what are some of the challenges that you think need to be overcome for this continued growth?
I think from the opportunities for us as at Dubai Tourism, the reason why we leverage the partners as much as we do is because it is a win-win situation that we want to nurture and continue to grow. Dubai has literally built its success on the public-private partnership and will continue to do so as well. Expo is a great opportunity for us. Of course, it's around the corner. It's something we're very, very proud of. However, as Dubai is a destination, we never rely on one event to be the event that makes it for us. But it's a sustainable model that we've created, even when it comes to the strategies that we put into place. Again, looking at the retail calendar that has evolved over the past years, and especially over the past couple of years. And it just shows you that we need to be working, again, more collaboratively, understanding the dynamics, because, you know, whether it's millennials or Generation Z or you know, anything else that comes next, it's very important for us to be aware of those changes, not neglecting our I would say the fundamental markets or the fundamental customers, and making sure that we're also aware of how to cater and how to continuously evolve as a destination and evolve our offerings as well.
When you talk about challenges for the future of our industry, and I know that everybody always talks about it, but it's here and it's so important, sustainability. And within the World Travel and Tourism Council for years, we've been talking about the banana skin of the industry can end up being sustainability if we don't apply it properly. I mean, I look around here, I'm so glad to see a glass bottle, but it's the first glass bottle I've seen in the last 3 days. I've seen single-use plastic bottles all the time. I've seen single-use coffee cups everywhere around the place. Everywhere I go, if I stop at a hotel, it's lovely, in my car, I pick it up, there's a plastic bottle in the car afterwards. I think we've really got to appreciate our responsibility within the industry. We can be a force for good as far as sustainability is concerned. I mean, we had the World Travel and Tourism Council conference in Bangkok 2 years ago. And in Bangkok on the last day, I think about 100 of us went out to a community of people where they lived in a mangrove area. And they had asked if we would come. We had asked with Tourism Cares, as an organization, if there's something we could do. And they wanted us to plant more trees. The scientists told us that if we planted 500 trees, these 500 trees would cover in their lifetime the carbon footprint of that conference of people traveling. And this is the kind of thing, this is the kind of stuff we should be doing. And we planted the trees. We got a great kick out of it. We enjoyed it. It was part of our feeling of enrichment because we had come to do something good. And I do believe very strongly that we should use every opportunity to remind hotels, like there's every reason you can have your own filtered water, you can have glass bottles in the bedrooms. Yes, I still want a free bottle of water, and I don't want to have to forego it, but I want it in a way that I feel is not damaging the environment. You know, in Jumeirah we had the turtle rehabilitation program with the Dubai Turtle Rehabilitation Center, and we actually rescued and brought back to health before I left, and they still do it. At that time we were up to 762 turtles actually rescued and saved in the region. And that's where tourism can be and is a force for good, but we have to think about it very seriously.
And I cannot but agree with everything. I mean, we are very engaged as a group in all our sustainability drive. And going back to the future of tourism into the region, so I think that we have a lot of positive factors which we have to offer in Dubai, but also into the whole region. In terms of positive factors, obviously we have today so many hotel rooms in order and so many fantastic leisure experience we should offer. And we spoke about retail, about shopping, about the shopping festival, but look about all the other elements which have been developed in Dubai. Business tourism. Look about the theme park which has been developed recently and which continue to develop, not only in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi, in Saudi Arabia, which are happening. Look about culture, I mean, which is being developed. And all of this is, again, to give different perspective for people and tourists who would come to here. So I think that there is a lot of assets and assets which are being built in order to develop tourists, look about, again, the airlines which are serving this part of the world. So from this perspective, definitely there is a huge potential of development for the future. Having said that, I have two elements which I would add to it. One, we have to make sure that we do not reach an oversupply situation, a too much oversupply situation. The danger of oversupply, I mean, the advantage, you get your prices down. The danger, we can use the quality and the attractivity of what we are doing. And this is something which we really need to make sure that offer and demand, we don't have too much demand without offer, because the price would rise up, but not too much offer compared to the demand, and we have to go in parallel about it. And the second thing, I hope and I wish there is more collaboration, not only throughout the sectors, but also throughout the different cities. I mean, imagine someone who would come to Saudi Arabia to go. I mean, I didn't speak about events. There's so much more events happening. So to go to a concert in Riyadh, to come to Dubai to visit Dubai, to go to Abu Dhabi to visit the cultural center. So I think that we, as a region, we probably need to link more about the different elements which could be complementing each other. Thank you.
Thank you. We have about 2 minutes left. Oh, yes, questions.
Good afternoon. Hi, Rhea. Hi, Patrick. Hi, Sam. Hi, Gerald. Wonderful panel. I wish I could have a dinner date with you guys all and spend hours talking.
What are you doing tonight?
Yeah, what are you? Wonderful panel. My name is Sarai Juzi. I'm the founder of Peltry. We actually are a leading distribution company. We supply beautiful luxury cosmetics to the region. We supply to your beautiful retail shops, Patrick, and to the likes of the Jumeirahs. So very proud to say that. Just you said a really cool point, Gerald, about my parents are the same age as you, not that you're old or anything like that, and I'm a millennial. But my family, I'm a second generation taking over the business with my brothers, a bit like a Shahub situation. And so they've invested everything here for the last 40 years. Every conference I go to, it's always about the millennials spend. There's so much newness. Being from the region as well, Middle Eastern, I feel like bad for my parents because they're the ones who have the disposable income, who now are retired, who whenever I'm going to all these fancy, schmancy, influencer, parties and events, which you hold great ones, they're never invited. They're always forgotten. I've never received a thank you note to my parents. Thank you for, coming to this restaurant 250 times, paying good money over the last 40 years in Dubai. And when we go back to luxury travel and retail, going back to the question, what initiatives are you doing for, because at the end of the day, I do still take for retail therapy, I sell my dad's credit card. I can't purchase Cartier or Louis Vuitton. It's my dad's. And it's true for a lot of, the millennials, or especially in the Arab, I can't afford it. So what are we doing for the older segment who actually has the real money and influence in this region, in your outlets or in the future coming?
I think we genuinely do need to recognize them, as you're saying, and as I said earlier as well. If purely just from the point of view, they have the money and they have the desire. And the other major thing about older people today, thank God, is that, we're healthier than, say, our parents were at our age. And we're more capable, and we want to travel and we want to see the world. But at the same time, you don't always want to end up with another bunch of grey-haired guys and nobody else. So you need the mix. We enjoy, for example, with our families, with our grandchildren. And it is something that family holidays, I think, have become a major segment. And we found this really very strongly in Jumeirah Beach Hotel. When we opened Jumeirah Beach Hotel, we also opened the Wild Wadi Water Park next door. And I remember the discussions coming up to the opening. Will we or will we not make it inclusive for Jumeirah Beach Hotel guests to be able to use it without paying? And we decided, and we made the right decision in my opinion, we said yes, we would. So suddenly we noticed, and I used to sometimes joke with parents and say, they were thinking where they were going on holiday next year, and they'd always say, well, we have no choice, our kids are insisting on coming back to Jumeirah Beach Hotel because they love Wild Wadi. So, you actually approach the market, I think, through different touch points.
Multi-generational.
And some of the touch points are definitely multi-generational, definitely young children. Sorry, I'm talking too much. But,
No.
I think it's so important at all levels. we don't all want to be like we're in a nursing home when we go on holiday. So we do need to have young people and normal guests as well. So you need the balance.
Would anyone else like to add anything, or should we go to the next question?
I mean, I would add two things. One, for us, we care a lot about transgenerational. So any type of sex, any type of age, and it's very important that we have an adjusted offering for each one of it. When it comes to the promotion of it, I don't know, but perhaps you could introduce me. Any woman who is more than 40 years old. But if you know any, including your mother, please introduce me to her. We all want to be, and we are probably much younger in our heart and in our mind than perhaps in our true age. Having said that, when we make an event about poetry, when we make an event about calligraphy, when we make an event about the artisan who come to it, believe me, the interest from the millennials today is a little bit less than when we make an event with perhaps a rock and roll, and which is more part of it. So it's very important that in our offering, when we have wellness, I mean, I am 60, so perhaps I would love to be 40. I love to go to have certain to a spa in one of those beautiful hotels which cater for me, and they really do it very well. So I think that the offering is much more, even if we speak about a lot of the millennials, and they are the growing part of it, we should never forget all the different, more mature people and who have the money.
I just say a quick thing, if I may, that there are some advantages to getting old. I was in New York recently, and I was on my own, and I went to the MoMA Museum, the Museum of Modern Art. So I walked in, and I said up there, single adult, $25. So I walked up, I had $25 exactly, so I put it on the table, they gave me the ticket, and I'm walking away. He said, "Excuse me, sir," and I said, "Yes." He said, "Your change." I said, "What change?" "No, you're a senior." I said, "Get out of here."
Just one thing to add to that as well. I mean, for us, from a tourism perspective, we're definitely looking at all age groups in terms of attracting them as a destination into Dubai. In fact, one of the key projects that we announced last year was the retirement visa, and that was something very, very big for us, because there are a lot of people who've been in Dubai, and Dubai is home at the end of the day, and we want them to feel like Dubai will be home for them and for their kids as well. And that's why this is a big step for us to ensure that we have them here and we have their kids comfortable knowing that they're going to be with the extended family as long as they want.
And real applause to Dubai government and UAE government for doing that. That is so important. So well done.
Sure.
Fantastic. Next question.
Yes, hi. Fadi Bustani from Aviamost, Russian and Chinese magazine and digital platforms. Going back to the Russian and Chinese tourists, the visa report last year for 2018 has shown that the Russian were the highest increase in spend in credit cards in the UAE, and of course the Chinese is also there. But what are you trying to do to stop the price change and the high prices compared to other markets in retail? As Mr. Patrick says, it's a matter of demand and supply. The hotels, we all know that the average rate of a room in a hotel has dropped in Dubai because the supply has increased. But retailers cannot drop the price of a Chanel bag because they don't make it. But the fixed cost is going up, and we don't want Dubai to be people coming to the hotels and not going shopping. So how we can find the balance between them?
There are many factors, of course, that contribute to the pricing, right? From our side, again, like I said, it's important for us to analyze what's going on globally and make sure that we have our panel of partners that we sit with from the private and public sector, and we share all the information transparently, and we allow the engagement and conversation to take place to understand if there are opportunities for us to address these things in a much better way. Then for sure, that's how we're going to approach it. I don't know, Patrick.
So I would say the pricing issue since 2014-15 has been a big issue for us in retail. Several reasons. First reason, in a market where demand was much higher than offer, probably prices went up, and I touched base about it. But then we had the currency exchange. We are pegged to the dollars. and it gives us a huge benefit of being pegged to the dollars. But we also have the fluctuation of the dollar, and when the dollar compared to other currency, including the yuan or to the ruble, go up, our prices would definitely go up. And to readjust, it has some factors about it. But we could absorb it, but sometimes it takes time when there is the fluctuation. Third, it's cost of doing business, which is the one which you have covered. And I think very transparently, we have all been working very closely with the government of Dubai, but not only Dubai, but with the government of Dubai, in order to make sure that how are we going to try to reduce our cost of doing business in Dubai, but also in our own organization. So we have to make sure today that in a market which is much tougher, we can remove the fat, but maintain the muscle. We can have intelligent conversation with our bankers, with our developers, with our credit card companies, with our insurance, with every part of it to remove the inefficiency. And a lot of work, and again, DTCM have facilitated, Dubai Chamber of Commerce has facilitated, the executive office have facilitated a lot of those discussions. So behind the scene, a lot of work is being done to reduce the cost of living and doing business, and even if we are not yet there about it, into it. Then we have the perception, and this is probably the most difficult to change. So there is the reality and there is the perception. What DTCM has done very well, they monitor, including our retail prices, they compare it to 9 other cities into the world, and we make sure, and we went sometime on a basis of plus 30% to minus 5%, and it's really narrowing down, but they are monitoring for us, and thank you for it, and even brand by brand. So now, if we can fix the reality, which is most important, we need to also fix the perception. And I was telling it today, if the Chinese, we do not offer the right price, and not only Chinese, because everybody today has his glass house, look at it, compare, and before they were comparing reference, now they see the picture and they have their automatic part to compare it. Will not be in business. So we really need to make sure that we walk the talk, but we also promote the fact that today our prices have been really much more competitive than ever before. Is it equal? Sometimes it's less, and I can say it proudly and strongly, less like it used to be Dubai duty free, the cheapest in the world. You will remember those times. And sometimes it is more, but today we really have narrowed down. And I'm not speaking only for our group, but or only for luxury. Really, it has been narrowed down and became much more competitive.
Thank you all, and I've just been signaled that we're out of time, unfortunately. I'm sure. Oh.
One word.
Oh,
it says very interesting that
okay.
LVMH, luxury, really the uber luxury of the world, they have actually purchased Belmont hotels. So now you're coming in
and they also
joining
purchased
us.
Rimowa last year,
Yeah.
I think it was
Yeah.
as well. So
It's very interesting.
In South Africa.
I did.
Me too.
Yes, we did. In fact, we met there at the Belmont in South Africa.
Can I say, if you have these figures that you talk about in relation to the narrowing of the price differential, why don't you publish them in the market?
Yeah.
It's, why just keep it for the trade?
Right.
So, I mean, we need to.
I see the
promote
mic is turned off already.
But we need to do it in an intelligent way. But it's true. We have to make sure the reality is fixed and perception is changed.
The lights are going off in a second, guys. Sorry.
Well, thank you, Gerald. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Patrick. This was wonderful
Thank
and
you.
illuminating.
Well
Thank you.
done. Thank you.